My son-in-law thought I was too old to notice he was stealing from me. He believed I was just a helpless man, unaware of what was happening under my own roof. But when he crept into my room one more time to grab a few $100s from my wallet, what he saw left him frozen in shock. It's something he will never forget. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what time it is where you're watching from. My hands shook as I counted the bills for the third time. 20, 40, 60. The numbers blurred, but the result didn't change. $1,000 was missing. I sat at the edge of my bed, staring at my worn leather wallet, the same one my father had given me decades ago. For 69 years, I'd reached for it from the same spot on my nightstand. But this morning felt different. Wrong. Maybe I spent it somewhere, I whispered, though I already knew better. Where would I spend $1,000? At the grocery store, on my weekly coffee at Murphy's Diner. I searched every corner of the room, under the bed, in drawers, jacket pockets, but nothing. The pit in my stomach only grew heavier with each empty place I checked. The smell of bacon drifted upstairs from the kitchen. Sophia was humming along with her favorite radio tune, filling the house with normal, comforting sounds. But to me, everything felt off, like a picture frame slightly out of place. I walked downstairs, my legs heavier than usual. Sophia stood at the stove, a dusting of flour on her blue apron, her hair tied back in the same ponytail she'd worn since high school. "Morning, Dad," she smiled, glancing back at me. "Coffee's ready." "Sophia, you haven't seen my money, have you?" I seemed to have misplaced $1,000. Her smile faded. "Money? Dad, I haven't touched anything in your room. Are you sure you didn't spend it somewhere? Maybe you forgot." The question stung. Was I becoming one of those old men who forgot things, who accused family because their mind was slipping? "What are you two whispering about?" It was Adrian, standing in the doorway, in yesterday's work clothes. His dark eyes moved between us. "Money problems again, Adrian?" I asked. Calmly. "You haven't been in my room, have you?" His posture changed instantly, arms crossed, shoulders squared. "What are you implying, Mr. Hargrove? That I'm some kind of thief?" "I'm not implying anything," I said carefully. "I just asked if you've seen I work 16-hour days to keep this family afloat." His voice rose sharply. "I don't need to steal from anyone, especially not family." Sophia stepped between us, her hands fluttering nervously. "Dad, Adrian would never do that. There has to be another explanation." But I was watching. Adrian's face, the way his eyes never quite met mine, the way his anger felt too quick, too rehearsed. Something cold settled in my chest. "Of course," I said quietly. "I'm sure it will turn up." Adrian snatched his lunch bag, checked his reflection in the hallway mirror with unusual care, and stormed out. "I'm late for work." The door slammed louder than necessary. Sophia touched my arm gently. "Dad, you've been under a lot of stress since Mom passed. Sometimes grief plays tricks on us." I nodded, but my eyes followed Adrian's truck until it disappeared down Maple Street. 3 years of living alone had taught me to account for every dollar in that wallet. I wasn't losing my mind. I was being robbed. That evening, we gathered in the living room like any other night. Sophia folded laundry, sorting Adrian's shirts into neat piles. I pretended to read the sports section, but my eyes kept drifting to Adrian, pacing restlessly by the window. He couldn't sit still. His phone, his hair, the blinds, he fussed with everything. The nervous energy poured off him. "Honey," he said suddenly, flashing a smile that looked just a little too bright. "I have a surprise for you. Close your eyes." Sophia gasped with delight. "Adrian, what did you do?" "Just close your eyes and hold out your hand." I lowered my newspaper slightly, watching as Adrian pulled a small velvet jewelry box from his jacket pocket, the kind that only came from expensive downtown stores, not the discount shops we usually visited. Sophia's eyes lit up as she opened. Oh my goodness. It's beautiful. But Adrian, where did you get the money for this? The gold chain shimmered in the living room light. Real gold, 18 carats, if I had to guess, not the cheap plated kind. I'd worked long enough in Detroit's auto industry to recognize the difference. I picked up extra shifts at the warehouse, Adrian said proudly, puffing out his chest, but I kept watching him closely, my suspicions sharpening with every word. I worked all weekend loading trucks, double overtime pay. You didn't tell me you were working weekends. Sophia's voice carried wonder, not suspicion. I wanted it to be a surprise. When you want to provide for your family, you find a way to make it happen. I folded my paper carefully. They pay pretty well for weekend work these days. Adrian's smile tightened almost too subtly to notice. Time and a half on Saturday, double time on Sunday, plus hazard pay for chemical shipments. Which warehouse was this? I kept my tone casual, mildly interested. The one off 8 Mile, new contract with Ford. He was already helping. Sophia fastened the chain around her neck. Dangerous work, I said, but worth it to see my wife smile. Sophia threw her arms around him, tears of happiness in her eyes. It's the most beautiful thing anyone's ever given me. I watched them embrace, running numbers quickly in my head. $800 minimum for a chain like that, maybe more. Funny how the math worked out. $1,200 missing, $900 spent on jewelry. The numbers were starting to line up in ways that made me uneasy. You're spoiling her, I said, forcing a smile. She deserves to be spoiled, Adrian replied, his eyes catching mine with something that felt almost like a challenge. A man takes care of his family, whatever it takes. The receipt crinkled in his back pocket as he sat down. I caught a glimpse of the logo. Silverman's Fine Jewelry, Woodward Avenue. Expensive taste for a truck driver, supposedly working weekend warehouse shifts. Well, I said, standing and stretching. Think I'll turn in early tonight. Long day tomorrow. Dad, are you okay? Sophia asked, still admiring her reflection in the chain. Just tired, sweetheart. Good night. But I didn't go to sleep. I sat on the edge of my bed, wallet in hand, listening to their voices. Downstairs. Sophia's laughter mixed with Adrian's deeper tone, painting a picture of perfect domestic bliss. The evidence was becoming too strong to ignore. Missing money, expensive gifts, weekend jobs that could be verified with a single call to the warehouse district. I'd been an engineer for 44 years. I knew how to solve problems by following the evidence, even when the answer was one I didn't want to face. 3 weeks later, I sat on my bed at 8 in the morning, wallet open in my hands, staring at the undeniable truth. Exactly $600 missing this time. There was no confusion, no chance it was my memory failing. I'd been checking my wallet every morning since the first theft, recording every dollar in my head. Yesterday evening, I had $800. Now, I had $400. The theft had happened after midnight while Sophia and I were asleep. Adrian had been the last one home, stumbling in around 11:35. With the smell of beer on his breath, I set the wallet on my nightstand and walked to the window. His truck was already gone. He always left for work at 7:35 sharp, but that morning I'd heard him in the bathroom at 6 humming, of all things, while he got ready. The pattern was undeniable now. Steal money, act normal, wait a few days, then buy something to make Sophia happy and grateful, keeping her loyalty caught between her husband and her father. But I wasn't going to be a victim anymore. I picked up my phone and dialed information. Detroit Electronics, Downtown District, please. Detroit Electronics, the clerk answered warmly. How can I help you? Do you carry small hidden cameras? Yes, sir. We have several models. What's the application? Home security. I need something discreet. We've got wireless units with night vision and motion activation. Connects to your smartphone. Very popular. I'll be in this morning. Downstairs, Sophia was getting ready for her shift at the supermarket. She looked up as I came down the stairs, already in my good jacket. "Dad, where are you going so early?" "Into town. Need to pick something up from the electronics store. Want Adrian to drive you?" He mentioned going that way for work. The irony wasn't lost on me. "No thanks. I prefer to drive myself." She kissed my cheek. "Be careful, Dad. They're doing construction on Woodward." I patted her shoulder, hating that I couldn't tell her the truth. Not yet. Not until I had proof she couldn't deny. In my car, I checked the rearview mirror before backing out. My reflection looked different than it had in months. Determined. The grieving, confused widower was gone. The engineer was back, ready to solve a problem with precision. The missing money wasn't random. The amounts, the timing, the defensive reactions, everything pointed to a plan. They thought they were stealing from a forgetful old man who wouldn't notice, who wouldn't fight back. They were about to learn how wrong they were. I drove toward downtown Detroit with steady hands, my mind already running through the specs. I'd need night vision, motion activation, smartphone access, maybe audio, if the law allowed it. Evidence first. Confrontation second. Justice third. The game had already shifted, though Adrian didn't realize it yet. Tech World Electronics stood on Woodward Avenue like a glowing signal of possibility. I pulled into a narrow spot between two compact cars. My engineer's instincts instantly nading. The security cameras perched above the glass doors. If I was going to expose a thief, I needed to think exactly like one. The electronic chime greeted me as I stepped inside. A maze of gadgets stretched out across the store: phones, tablets, security systems, and more. A young clerk with oversized glasses hurried over, probably wondering what an older man like me was doing here. "Looking for something in particular, sir?" "Home security cameras. Something discreet, but dependable." His posture straightened with interest. "Residential, or business use?" "Personal. I'll need sharp image quality, especially in low light." He guided me to a wall display filled with neatly stacked camera boxes. The promises printed on them sounded almost futuristic: night vision, motion sensors, instant phone alerts. The kind of features I once only saw in movies. "This model," he said, pointing to a compact black device, "runs 12 hours on a single charge." I lifted it carefully, reading the fine print, and performance in darkness. Crystal clear. Recognition up to 10 feet. The infrared sensors activate automatically when lighting dips. Sensitivity is adjustable, picks up significant movement, but ignores shadows. The Night Eye Pro Mini rested easily in my hand, smaller than expected, yet loaded with everything I needed: 1080p, clarity, wide 140-degree coverage, wireless connection. A perfect tool for gathering proof. I'll take it. The drive home felt heavier than usual, the small box sitting in the passenger seat like a weight of truth. 40 years in engineering, and here I was, setting a trap under my own roof. The irony wasn't lost on me. Sophia's car was gone. Her supermarket shift ended at 6. Adrian's truck wasn't in the drive either. Perfect. The house was mine for the afternoon. On the kitchen table, I laid out the components like puzzle pieces. The manual was simple: mount, connect to Wi-Fi, install the app, adjust the settings. Straightforward enough. In the bedroom, I studied every angle with an engineer's eye. The dresser, crowded with family photographs, stood opposite my nightstand. Behind the large framed wedding photo of Sophia, I found the perfect hiding place. Positioning required precision. Too high, and it would miss the nightstand. Too low, and the furniture blocked the view. After 3 adjustments, the angle was flawless, covering both my wallet spot and the glass of water I always kept beside me. The app synced immediately. Secure View displayed a crisp black and white feed of my room, complete with time and battery status. I tested the night mode by closing the curtains, and Fred sensors lit up the screen. capturing every detail with eerie sharpness. Motion sensitivity came next. Too high, and shadows would trigger alarms. Too low, and the thief might slip by. I set it to medium and tested it myself. The camera caught my movements instantly, sending an alert straight to my phone. Perfect. Now came the bait. I counted $300 in cash, placing the bills neatly in my wallet, visible enough to tempt, but not careless. The water glass went back to its usual place, a habit my late wife had insisted on, a reminder to stay hydrated through the night. Now it would serve as one more piece of evidence. Everything was ready. Camera hidden, bait placed, settings calibrated. I shut off the bedroom light and paused in the doorway, knowing tomorrow morning would mark a turning point. In the silence, the tiny red recording light blinked once, then vanished into watchful mode. Morning came with the precision of a factory whistle. My eyes opened exactly at 7, but today was different. Today wasn't about suspicion. It was about confirmation. I reached for the wallet. The cash was gone. All $300 had vanished. No shock, just a grim satisfaction. The trap had worked. My hands shook slightly as I unlocked my phone, not from fear, but from anticipation. The SecureView app showed a single alert, stamped 2:49 a.m. The house had been asleep. Conditions perfect for theft. My finger hovered over the play button. Once I pressed it, there would be no more excuses. No second guessing, just undeniable truth captured in pixels. The footage opened to a silent bedroom, furniture glowing faintly under infrared light. Then, the door eased open, slowly, deliberately. A figure entered with practiced precision. No hesitation, no wasted movement, straight toward my nightstand. The facial recognition kicked in, and there he was. Adrian, my son. His features sharp, unmistakable. He moved like a man who'd done this before. Fingers slipping into my wallet, pulling out the bills, thumbing through them quickly, methodical, efficient, almost professional. This wasn't clumsy theft. This was routine. But then, something else. Something worse. After pocketing my money, Adrian reached for my water glass, the one I drank from every morning without fail. He looked down at it, paused, and then spat into it. Not by accident. Not careless. Intentional. Calculated. A chill ripped through me. My throat tightened. How many mornings had I swallowed that without knowing? How long had he been mocking me this way? I replayed the moment twice more, punishing myself with the sight. The theft was cold, mechanical, but the spit, that was venom. That was hatred. My fingers trembled as I saved the footage in 2 places, phone storage and cloud backup. Too important to lose. This wasn't suspicion anymore. This was evidence. Downstairs, the house carried on as if nothing had happened. I could hear Sophia humming faintly in the kitchen, brewing her morning coffee. Adrian, no doubt, was pretending to sleep off his night shift, playing the hard-working husband. But I knew better now. I needed another voice. Someone outside this house. Someone I trusted. My thumb found Jim Patterson's number, a friend of 20 years. A man who had shared blueprints and deadlines, frustrations and victories. He answered on the second ring. "Jim, sorry to call so early. I need advice." "You sound shaken." "What's wrong, buddy?" "I caught my son-in-law stealing. On camera. Clear as day." Silence. Then, a low breath. "You're absolutely certain?" "Video doesn't lie. It shows everything, him taking the money, him counting it, and," my voice faltered, "and him doing something that proves this isn't his first time." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Sophia doesn't suspect a thing. If I tell her, it'll destroy her. Evidence is evidence, Lester. You can't bury it just to spare feelings." "I know," I said, rubbing my temple. "But she loves him. She thinks she married a good man. Maybe it's time she learns the truth." When the call ended, I sat on the bed, staring at the frozen frame of Adrian's face, lit in ghostly infrared. Every detail clear, every movement undeniable. Now, I had proof. Irrefutable proof. But what did proof actually mean if I couldn't decide what to do with it? Through the wall, I heard Sophia's footsteps as she dressed for work. Soon, she'd kiss me goodbye, smiling, unaware she lived with a man who stole from her father and, worse. The living room felt unfamiliar that morning. Same recliner, same photographs on the wall, same sunlight filtering through the curtains my wife had chosen 15 years ago. But the air was heavier, tainted. I sat with my coffee, but the cream couldn't hide its bitterness. On the side table, a photo album caught my eye, one Sophia had pulled out last December, when she and Adrian first moved in. I opened it slowly. December 21, boxes stacked high in the driveway. Sophia's tears of relief, as she hugged me. Dad, without you, I don't know what we would have done. Adrian stood behind her, shaking my hand, his gratitude so convincing. Lester, just a few months until I find steady work. I'll help around the house, earn our keep. And for a while, he did. He fixed the leaky faucet, cleaned the gutters before snow, helped me reorganize the garage. We even shared beers, talked about his future. Sophia glowed, thinking her husband and father were bonding. She planned next year's Christmas, new traditions, a family rebuilt. But somewhere along the way, respect soured into contempt. Mr. Hargrove became just Lester, said with an eye roll. His helpfulness faded into criticism my age, my habits, my supposed meddling, and I excused it. I told myself it was stress, pressure, the struggle of a man trying to get ahead. But looking back now, the signs had been there all along. The pointed comments about old men who couldn't manage money, the subtle digs at my independence, the smirk when he thought I wasn't looking. Now it all made sense. He had been stealing from me while criticizing my so-called financial incompetence. The photo album on my lap showed Christmas morning Adrian tearing into the expensive tool set I'd bought him. Sophia glowing with joy as she tried on her new winter coat. We all looked like a proper family, gathered around the tree. 3 weeks later, he committed his first theft. How long had he been planning it? During those so-called helpful visits, had he studied my room, memorized my routines, even noted where I kept my wallet? Love you, Dad. Sophia's voice pulled me from my thoughts. She stood in the doorway, dressed for work, with her purse over her shoulder. She leaned down, kissed my forehead, the same ritual every morning since she moved in. Love you too, sweetheart, I said, forcing a smile. You seem quiet today. Everything okay? The weight of the video evidence in my pocket nearly crushed me. How could I tell her that her husband, the man she trusted completely, had been robbing her own father night after night, while she slept beside him? Just thinking about things. Don't be late, I replied. She left with a grateful smile. Dad, I know living here hasn't been easy, but thank you. Adrian appreciates it too, even if he doesn't always show it. The irony burned inside me. When her car disappeared down Maple Street, I closed the album. Those December smiles felt like relics from another life, a naive version of me who trusted too easily. Now the camera footage left no doubt. But what kind of justice should I choose? Confrontation would destroy Sophia's world. Calling the police would destroy the family. Staying silent would mean more theft and more disrespect. I stared at the steam curling from my late wife's favorite china cup, chamomile tea failing to calm the storm inside me. At the table lay my 2025 calendar, spread wide open, red pen in hand. Like a detective, I began marking the dates. January 16th. Adrian tracked mud through the house after I'd politely asked him to remove his shoes. Old people always complain about something, he'd sneered. Sophia had defended me, but his eyes showed no regret, only resentment. January 29th. Another X. Maybe if you didn't interfere with our decisions, our finances would be better. My suggestion that Sophia pick up overtime had turned into an accusation, as though my advice was sabotage. I flipped to February. The red ink multiplied. The disrespect was no longer occasional, it had become routine. February 15th, Valentine's Day. He'd draped a gold chain around Sophia's neck, the very day after he stole my first $1,000. My hand shook as I marked that date. February 27th. This house feels like a prison with your ridiculous rules. That one stung. Sophia had nodded quietly, torn between loyalty to her husband and love for me. I could see the battle in her eyes, while Adrian chipped away at my authority in my own home. By March, the marks bled across the page. Old folks can't handle change. Maybe it's time for assisted living. Some people shouldn't manage their own money. The bitterest irony of all, he questioned my mind while stealing behind my back. I shut the calendar and glanced at the clock. 7:30 p.m., Sophia would be late at work. Adrian claimed to have overtime too, though I knew now what his nights really involved. Tomorrow, I would buy supplies. Tonight, I would plan. The evidence proved his crimes. The calendar proved his character. Both would matter soon. I rinsed Martha's teacup with care, treating it with the respect Adrian never showed this house or its owner. Tomorrow would begin the final phase. Some people needed to learn that disrespecting your benefactor came with consequences. The next afternoon, neon letters glared above a store. Prankster's Paradise. It looked like a carnival had exploded, yet inside was exactly what I needed. Looking for something specific? The pierced clerk asked, curious about the serious-faced grandfather scanning shelves of rubber snakes and squirting flowers. Something harmless, I said evenly, but unforgettable. She led me to a glass case of shock devices. I picked up a wallet, smooth leather, indistinguishable from the real thing. How strong is the charge? I asked. Completely safe. Just 9 volts. More surprise than pain. Built for repeated use, if needed. Perfect. I pressed it to my palm. A sharp zap jolted through. Not harmful, but impossible to ignore. Years of engineering made me appreciate clever design, even in novelty gadgets. I'll take it. And I need realistic movie prop money. Her brows arched, but she guided me 2 stacks of counterfeit bills. They looked and felt genuine. Only close inspection revealed the watermark, for motion picture use. How much for $300 worth? I asked. $37.50, plus $9.90 for the wallet. Let's call it $50 even. I handed her the cash, thinking of poetic balance. 300 fake bills to replace the 300 real dollars Adrian had stolen. Back in my car, I locked the purchases in my trunk. At the red light on Maple Street, I studied my reflection in the rearview mirror. Just an ordinary grandfather running errands. Tomorrow night, Adrian would discover that some wallets don't just hold money, they deliver consequences. Nobody would have guessed that tonight I was setting the stage for something my son would never forget. The plan was chosen. Now it was time to put it in motion. Sophia ladled beef stew into our bowls, with the same care she always gave to family dinners, trying to keep a sense of warmth in a house that had grown colder in recent weeks. The kitchen smelled of bay leaves and simmering vegetables, but beneath that homely comfort, tension lingered. This looks wonderful. Sweetheart, I said, my voice calm, but my eyes fixed on Adrian across the table. He was quieter than usual, picking at his food instead of eating it with his normal appetite. Dad, you've been in the garage all afternoon, Sophia said lightly. Working on something new. Just organizing tools, I replied. It's amazing what you discover when you really pay attention. Adrian's fork paused midair. Something in my tone unsettled him, though he couldn't quite place it. Speaking of discoveries, I continued, buttering my bread with deliberate slowness. I've been thinking a lot about home security. Fascinating how technology lets you watch everything even while you're asleep. Security? Sophia asked. Are you worried about break-ins? Not break-ins, I said evenly. More like problems from within. Someone around here seems to think other people's money is free for the taking. Adrian set down his fork. There you go again with your paranoia. Maybe you're just forgetting what you've spent and blaming others. Paranoia. I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Interesting thought, Adrian. Tell me, how much did that warehouse overtime pay you last weekend? His jaw tightened. Why does that matter? Oh, just curious, I said lightly. Strange how some people earn money so easily for so little work. Sophia sensed the tension and quickly intervened. Can't we just have one peaceful family meal? You two have been at each other all week. Adrian's composure cracked. I'm tired of hearing complaints from a penny-pinching old man who counts every cent like it's his last. The silence that followed was heavy. Sophia's spoon slipped from her hand. Cheap old man, I repeated softly, leaning back, a bold choice of words from someone living rent-free in my house. Lester, Adrian began, but I raised my hand. No, please, continue. I'd love to hear more of your thoughts on me, especially about my money habits. Sophia looked between us, alarmed. What's really going on? You're both acting like you're hiding something. I studied Adrian's face, the anger barely covering his unease. He'd revealed more than he meant to, but he had no idea how much I truly knew. Your husband and I just have different philosophies about respect, I said calmly. Isn't that right, Adrian? He shoved back from the table. I don't have to sit here and listen to this. No, I agreed, quietly. You don't. After all, this is my house. Adrian stormed upstairs. Sophia began clearing dishes with trembling hands. Dad, what's happening? You've both been acting strange. Sometimes people reveal their true selves when they think nobody's watching, I said. Her eyes narrowed. What does that mean? You'll understand soon enough, I told her, excusing myself in my room. I retrieved the wallet and counterfeit bills I'd hidden behind the dresser. Tonight, the plan would unfold. Tomorrow would bring the truth. Hours later, the red digits of my clock glowed 1:59 a.m. When I heard the first soft footstep in the hall. I steadied my breathing, pretending to sleep. My heart raced. 3 months of theft and humiliation were about to meet their end. The wallet sat on my nightstand, filled with prop bills, designed to look real. Every detail had been set with precision. Bait placed exactly where Adrian expected. It got another footstep. My door opened with the faintest whisper. Adrian entered like a practiced thief, careful to avoid every creak. He moved with the quiet skill of someone who had done this before. I kept my eyes closed, tracking his presence through the subtle shift of air. 3 steps, a pause, 2 more. Then his hand reached for the wallet. Oh, what the? Adrian's startled cry tore through the silence as the shock device activated. The fake bills scattered to the floor. I opened my eyes, calmly switching on the lamp. Oh my. What woke me up? I asked, feigning confusion. Adrian, what are you doing in my room at 2 in the morning? He froze, surrounded by fake money, his hand trembling from the jolt. I was just getting some water, he stammered, eyes darting away. Water? I adjusted my pajamas slowly. And how exactly did these bills end up all over my floor? Bills? I don't know what you're talking about. The same way you didn't understand the times you stole before, I said, reaching for my phone, the same way you didn't understand when you tampered with my drink. His face drained of color. You're crazy. I never touched anything, really. I tilted the phone toward him. Shall we check the recordings together? I've got excellent footage of your nightly activities. His panicked expression said everything. My plan had worked. But now, this private battle was about to explode into something bigger. What's all that noise? Sophia's voice came from the hallway, groggy and worried. We both froze. The moment of truth had arrived. Sophia stepped into the doorway, her robe tied loosely, hair tousled. She stopped, staring at the scattered bills, at Adrian's guilty face, and at me holding the phone like evidence. "What is going on here? Why is everyone awake?" she asked, her voice shaking. The silence that followed carried the weight of everything left unspoken. "Adrian, why do you look like you've seen a ghost?" I asked calmly. "Your husband has been stealing from me for months," I added, keeping my voice steady while watching her reaction. "I finally caught him in the act." "Dad, that's impossible," Sophia said quickly, her voice filled with automatic loyalty. "Adrian would never do something like that. You must be mistaken. Watch this video, then tell me what you see." I held out my phone, my finger resting over the play button. Sophia hesitated, but the certainty in my tone made her lean closer. The infrared footage began to play, clear as daylight despite the darkness. It showed Adrian moving toward my nightstand with deliberate care. This can't be real," Sophia whispered though. Her voice already carried the weight of realization. The video showed Adrian pulling money from my wallet, counting it quickly, every movement practiced. Then came the part that made Sophia gasp, Adrian deliberately spitting into my water glass. "Adrian," she turned toward him, eyes wide with horror. "Is that really you? And you spit in Dad's drinking water? This is all a setup." Adrian's voice rose, panicked. "He's framing me." That footage could have been edited, but Sophia's eyes were fixed on the screen. "I can see your face clearly. That's our bedroom door behind you. That's the exact shirt you wore yesterday. How could anyone fake that?" Her voice grew smaller with every word. I didn't argue. I let the video speak for itself while my daughter's world began to unravel. 3 months of lies were falling apart before her eyes. "Sophia, you have to believe me," Adrian pleaded. "I work hard to provide for us. Why would I steal from your father? Because you've been stealing instead of working?" I answered firmly. "Those gifts you bought her, the money you claimed came from extra shifts, all of it came from my wallet." Sophia sank onto the edge of my bed, her face buried in her hands. The gold chain around her neck, once a symbol of love, now felt like evidence of betrayal. "How long has this been going on?" she asked weakly. "At least 3 months, maybe longer, since you moved in." The silence was heavy, suffocating. Then Sophia lifted her head, her eyes cold and full of betrayal. "Pack your things," she whispered. "We're leaving tomorrow." Adrian tried to protest, but Sophia's raised hand silenced him instantly. The damage was done. The truth had spoken. By 3 o'clock the next afternoon, the sound of packing filled the house. Sophia folded her clothes carefully, her movements controlled, though her tears betrayed her pain. Adrian, on the other hand, stuffed things into boxes carelessly, muttering angrily about how unfair it all was. I stayed nearby, but didn't press with words. Sometimes support meant simply being present. "Dad, I owe you an apology," Sophia said softly as she wrapped dishes in newspaper. "I should have questioned where the money was coming from." "You're not at fault, honey," I said gently. "You trusted him. That's not weakness. That's what good people do." She paused, looking around the room that had been her temporary home. "I don't know where we'll go. I just know we can't stay here." "You'll figure it out," I assured her. "And this will always be your home, too." Outside, Adrian loaded boxers into his truck with bitter force, his anger on display for the neighbors who pretended not to watch. When Sophia brought her final suitcase to the steps, she stopped beside me. "I hate that it came to this, but I'm glad you showed me the truth. Living in lies would have been worse." She hugged me tightly, the kind of hug that says goodbye, "Thank you, and I love you all at once. I'll call you once we're settled," she whispered. "I just need some time." Adrian slammed the truck tailgate shut, glaring at me with rage. "You'll regret this, old man. You destroyed this family. We'll see who's right in the end." "Drive carefully," I replied evenly. Take care of my daughter. That's all that matters. Sophia climbed into the passenger seat without looking back. The truck rumbled down Maple Street, her profile faintly visible through the window, sad, but resolute. The house felt different. When I stepped back inside, quieter, mine again. I brewed a single cup of coffee instead of a full pot and settled into my recliner with the evening paper. Outside, spring darkness fell peacefully over the neighborhood. No more missing money. No more disrespect. No more walking on eggshells in my own home. This hadn't been revenge. It had been protection. The engineer's way. Identify the problem. Design a solution. Implement the fix. Verify the results. Sometimes protecting family means revealing truths, even when those truths shatter illusions. My home was safe again. The problem was solved. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To listen to the next story, click the box on the left. Thank you for watching.